here. As you'll probably see when the cameras move around here later as we walk through this meeting. This is all new to all of us, so we're very pleased, especially Deputy Mayor Murphy, who was a big advocate, even though we've all agreed to do this. Deputy Mayor Murphy was certainly a big advocate to having our first live stream meeting from the chamber. So this is brand new ground, and it's different things that activate the cameras to us. So please bear with us. This is a new system and we're all learning. So if you see the camera on the floor, that means one of us have to drop it on the floor probably, but we have to do that, and it's not voice activated, it's by electronics here in front of us. And I can assure you that I'm certainly not the best at it yet. I can't speak for everybody here. So bear with us. We'll figure it out over the next couple of meetings and we'll move on. So this is our August the 11th, 2020 meeting, of course. And first of all, I'll call for the adoption of agendas and minutes. The adoption of the meeting agenda for August 11th, 2020. Councillor Uden. Councillor Hillier. Now, I'm not sure how we do up the cues on this. So you guys haven't touched your microphones for a second. And okay, that's the way we'll do it. We won't turn on our microphones for seconding. And we'll just turn it on for discussion purposes and when the committee chairs are doing their piece and people are having their say. Okay, sounds good. Adoption of the meeting minutes of July 14, 2020. Moved by Councillor Butler, seconded by Councillor Tilley. All those in favour? Contraminded? Carried. Business arising from previous minutes? There being none. Visitors, presentations, and petitions. This is the first night in a long while we haven't had any presentations or any, of course we couldn't have visitors. We usually have proclamations. So moving right along, we'll move into new business. New business, Deputy Mayor Murphy.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. Again, I'd like to welcome the residents of Conception Bay South to our first live streaming broadcast of our regular meetings, and hopefully the general public will get some benefit out of it. They won't have to come down here and sit. They can sit and watch it from the comfort of their houses. So it's great to be able to move in that direction. Your Worship, I just want to mention that last week a prominent resident of Conception Bay South, Bob Parsons, passed away. Bob, of course, is a member of the Parsons family who are very active in our community with the various parks and ball fields and everything in memory of the people of the Parsons family. And I just want to mention that Bob was a very well-rounded human being. He was a great community advocate, always meet you with a smile, a friendly gesture, and of course he was probably best well known for being a member of the local band Rick and the Romans. Bob spent most of his life entertaining residents not only in Conception Bay South but from all over the island. They had a great, I guess, career as musicians, and it's really sad to see a part of their group who was deceased. So on behalf of the residents of Conception Bay South, I'd like to pass on condolences to Bob's wife Elsie, his children, and the Parsons family and the music family in our community on his passing. He will be certainly missed, and I guess every time I think of him and see him on stage, I always remember a particular song that they did, and a part of it was Bob screaming at the top of his lungs, "I'll sock it to you, Daddy." Rest in peace, Bob. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Murphy. Deputy Mayor Murphy. Councillor Uden.
Thanks, Your Worship. I certainly echo Councillor Murphy's. He's well said in terms of Bob Parsons. Just a couple of things. One is, I guess, the road work going on in the community is really good to see. I know a few of us were delayed here tonight, and Route 60, from a provincial standpoint, is certainly seeing an investment. But Fowler's Road, I was on Tilly's Road the other day, Lawrence Pond Road, some of the major collector streets are certainly coming along, and it's good to see. The last thing I'll say, Your Worship, is the pool, and just to let the public know that we're, I guess, in discussions now as to how we come to terms with its reopening and the cost involved. I think there's going to be significant cost in however we operate our recreation facilities, whether that be new operating procedures at the stadium or any of our facilities, and all of those things has a cost implications for the town, its residents, and we're trying to be diligent with their money. And I think it's important that as we move forward to keep that in mind in terms of how we move forward. That's it for me, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Uden. Councillor Tilley.
Thank you, Worship. I'd like to pass along condolences as well to another prominent resident who passed away last week, Dave Pinn from the Chamberlains area. Dave was a member, for those who didn't know, he was a member of the CBS Lions Club for almost 40 years. And he's served on just about every position of the executive. And I had the opportunity to chat with a few of his friends and of the Lions Club, and they say he was a true meaning of kindness and what it means to be a volunteer at Conception Bay South. So Dave will certainly be missed with especially at the hot dog days, at soiree days, and he was also a club liaison for the first Topsail Boy Scouts as well. So Dave will certainly be missed in the community, and especially on his volunteer basis. So my condolences go out to Dave and his family at this sad time. As well, I'd like to bring up the issue with parking on Parsons Road. We've been dealing with this issue now for quite some time. I've reached out to our enforcement, and they've come back and said that as long as an emergency vehicle can get down the road, it shouldn't be a problem. I had the opportunity last Monday night to take a venture down on Parsons Road, and believe you me, especially now with the food fishery on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, there is absolutely no way any emergency vehicle will get down Parsons Road or any road that is used as a boat launch. You know, we got to come up with something better than what we're doing now. People just can't be blocking the sides of the road and blocking people's personal driveways and that kind of stuff. So I'd ask that we bring it back to a committee, and we'll have some further discussions again. And I believe the same thing is starting to happen now up in Seal Cove as well. And so, I think it's something we got to crack down on these areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tilley. Councillor Bent.
Thank you, Your Worship. It's good to be back in the chamber again and back with all you folks. I just wanted to touch on a few things this evening. First of all, an environmental preview is guidelines have been released for the drill mud processing plant that's been proposed for the Hops area at the top of Fowler's Road, and that's on the provincial government website. You can see the guidelines laid out there. It came out in late July. And I'm very pleased to note that one of the things that's included in that from the minister is that there will be a further public consultation, and I believe it's going to be done in the form of a public meeting. And we've had some discussions here that when that time is released for that meeting, that we'll get some information out to the area residents that have been involved from the beginning. Of course, the town has been very public about this. We started with a public meeting as required, and have been trying to keep the residents up to date on what's been going on with that ever since. So it's moving along to some degree, but the province has required more information from the company, and that process is underway now, and part of that process will be a further consultation with residents. So we'll look for that date when it's finally released. Just on another note, Your Worship, it is great to have Fowler's Road done. It took us a little longer than we had hoped. We had hoped it would be done last year, of course, but it is done now with some extra safety measures in place up there with the raised crosswalks, the flashing lights at those crosswalks for added safety, and of course the turning lane, which allows traffic to move more freely and safer as well, and of course the curb and gutter on the east side of Fowler's Road makes that even safer, because anybody that remembers driving along Fowler's Road in the wintertime, before that was installed, you were only inches away from the ditch all the time. So it's a great improvement, and it's a great upgrade for that road, and I'm glad to see it finally done. As well, I want to touch on a couple of other things with regards to parks, and I know there was mention earlier about it, but the Manuals River Trail that goes down to Worsley Park is basically finished now, so it's a groomed trail. If you leave Manuals River and you head down to Worsley Park, you can go right to Worsley Park, and it's a free pass-through down there. Very well groomed. It was heavy rock up until probably earlier this year. You'd have to sort of go up in the woods a little bit to get through. But you can park at Worsley Park now and walk all the way back up to the main road to the Manuals River Center. It's a fantastic location, and it's, of course, a real gem for our town. And it's one of those places where you only got to walk 5 minutes and you wouldn't know you were up in the woods somewhere a long ways away from civilization, and it's very scenic. And it was a great privilege earlier this month to be able to go out, actually maybe late last month now, to go up to Chamberlain's Park and see the work they're doing there on the new boardwalk extension that hopefully will join around by the end of this year for a 1 kilometer loop walk around Chamberlain's Park. That's a great addition to that park, and it was great to be up there with the other councillors and the Green team, and of course the members of the Chamberlain's Park volunteer group there that have brought that park a long ways in the last 10 years or so. Finally, Your Worship, I wanted to just mention Topsail Beach Road. We've been dealing with a lot of concerns up there from residents about noise and levels of traffic over the past number of weeks, probably since May, during COVID. And of course, a lot of people are heading to shorelines, during COVID, looking for something to do. And of course, Topsail Beach Road has seen a large increase in traffic during that period of time. And we've been in touch with the residents. Residents have been in touch with us and voicing their concerns about safety and speed and noise and traffic volumes in that area. And we've made a number of changes, and from LED signs letting people know when the parking lot is full and so forth. And we've gone and had a study done, and that study is now available online on our website, on our social media, so people can see what the engineering firm looked at, and what they're recommending, and what they're saying would work better, and some things we could possibly look at as a council. Some of the things, of course, are cost prohibitive, certainly right now anyway, but there are a few things there that I think that we could probably move forward on, maybe sooner rather than later, and we've taken the extra step of having some reviews done of the area based on the findings of that report, and I'm looking forward to seeing the findings of that review so how we can make Topsail Beach Road safer, not only for residents, but for visitors and hikers and the people that like to use that beautiful area down there, Your Worship. So that's it from me for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bent. Councillor Davis.
Nothing for me, Your Worship.
Councillor Butler.
Thank you, Your Worship. First of all, I'd like to pass along my condolences to the Parsons and Pinn families on the loss of a loved one. Now, I have some highlights from the economic development and tourism side of the town. Always good to bring along a little good news, as Jim Furlong used to say. Heritage Storytelling Project. The first digital story of our Heritage Storytelling Project has been created and uploaded to the Heritage page of our website, and I've seen it. I don't know if any of you have. It's very nice to watch, and it's a wonderful story. And Mr. Dean Lair volunteered to participate and created this story, where he talks about life growing up on Fagans Road in Calagros. Since the story launched, others have come forward and are in the process of telling their stories. We are certain there are many great stories out there waiting to be captured for further generations. Please encourage your friends and family to connect with the Economic Development Department staff to participate. Topsail Homes and Heritage Garden Walk signage. One action item within the town's tourism development strategy is the placement of wayfinding signage for the Topsail Homes and Heritage Garden Walk. This is a self-guided walk through one of the town's most historic neighborhoods. Brochures mapping the 11 stops along the route are available on the town's website, but also at St. John the Evangelist Church and the Town Hall. In the coming weeks, signage will be installed at each stop along the walk that correspond with the brochure. A little update on our green team. The green team have been very busy since they started their project work in the town in early July. By the end of the summer, they will have had hand in 3 major legacy projects within the town, including the creation of the Manuals River Community Garden, completing over 250 meters of new boardwalk at Chamberlain's Park, building and staining the new stage and pergola at Gateway Community Garden, installing a rustic fence along one side of the Gateway Community Garden, and constructing a support structure for raspberry bushes, creating a storage compound for soil and mulch, and developing a storyboard at Gateway Garden. I am sure I can say on behalf of Council and the various community partners within the town that we have been pleased with another incredible team of 4 youth from Conception Bay South, and would like to express our sincere gratitude for the tremendous work they are doing within the town. The team will end their summer placement on September 4th. An update on our town, street, and trail map. The town, street, and trail map have been printed and distributed throughout the town and provincial visitor information centres across the province. There are also copies available for pickup at the town hall, should anyone wish to obtain. And lastly, but certainly not least, celebrating our entrepreneurs. Small Business Week takes place October 18th to 24th and provides the opportunity to celebrate entrepreneurs. Small business is the backbone to our community within the town, and we want to start a little earlier celebrating them this year. Now more than ever, we are realizing the importance of supporting local, and our economic development staff are working on initiatives over the coming weeks leading into Small Business Week. As part of our Business Retention and Expansion Action Plan, staff will be capturing digital testimonials to highlight entrepreneurs and their businesses. In addition, each business within the town will be provided with a window decal to display at their place of business, highlighting that they are a registered business within the town. Staff will also continue with their social media campaign highlighting previous winners of our Bright Business Achievement Awards, and an engagement strategy is underway to connect both one-on-one and in-target focus groups to hear from entrepreneurs and learn how we can best support their efforts. We are looking forward to celebrating and engaging with our entrepreneurs and encourage them to connect with our staff at any time for support and guidance as they continue to grow their opportunities. Thank you for your worship.
Thank you, Councillor Butler. Councillor Hillier, sorry I missed you on the go-around there. I guess it's because we're all scattered about the room there. I missed you on the go-around.
That's on, Your Worship. It's all new to all of us, I guess. I just got a couple of points, Your Worship. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Chris Peach. Chris is one of our residents, and Chris has just been inducted into the Provincial Hockey Hall of Fame. As you're aware, he was inducted into our own Hall of Fame earlier in the year. He had a great junior and university career in hockey and went on to play some professional hockey in North America and into Europe. So, Your Worship, perhaps we could pass along a letter to Chris with your signature for as a congratulations. Also, Your Worship, I'd like to thank staff. I noticed as I drove by this morning, Holy Spirit School, that our rainbow crosswalks have been repainted, and it's nice to see that complete and in preparation for the children going back to school within the next month. I'm sure they'll be glad to see that. My third item, Councillor Bent has already referenced it, and that is the trail from Manuel's Bridge to the beach, to Worsley Park. And that was finished this morning. I know I walked by there as the roller was putting down the last batch of stone. That's become the new place to be. It's just absolutely gorgeous. Councillor Davis walks it regularly. I walk it regularly. There are people there from all over town. There are people there from all over Northeast Avalon. I can't believe this, as Councillor Bent said, this gem that we now have in our community. If anyone has not been down there, it's worth going down and strolling to the beach and walking back again. Thank you, Your Worship.
Just to, thank you, Councillor Hillier, just to clue up on that, I encourage everyone to buy their bobber. Of course, this don't happen by accident, these beautiful trails a couple of councillors have mentioned tonight. And we do get corporate sponsorship, obviously, but encourage everyone to buy their bobber, those within the community and those from outside the community, because it's certainly goes to good use on that trail and the protection of the river, certainly. Start off on a little sad note tonight. I know a couple of people have mentioned him earlier, Dave Pinn. I just want to send out condolences to the Pinn Debbie and the Pinn family, as Dave I've known for a long time, since I was a small guy, or well, I shouldn't say small, since I was a young guy. beating around softball fields, and I can remember going to many tournaments where Dave was there, and always a great bit of fun and a great laugh, and he worked at Texaco at the end of the road that I grew up on, and of course he used to drive me out of the yard out there all the time when I'd be nosing around. I shouldn't be in around the trucks and the fuel and one thing and another. So I'm going to miss him for sure. Didn't see him a big lot, but always when I did, he had an opinion for me, but always in a respectful way. And I think the people at his regular friends at Tim Hortons and Gerard, of which you got to know as well, they're a good group, and I send out to his friends and family certainly my condolences, and wish them the best in what must be a trying time, certainly. And Dave, of course, as well, was a big volunteer, as Gerard mentioned, and member of the Lions Club and so on. I'm sure they'll miss him. We'll all miss him for that as well. Bob Parsons, another friend of mine that I, again, didn't see a lot in the last number of years, but from time to time would run into him. His wife Elsie, or his partner Elsie, and the Parsons family, I want to send my condolences to them. Bob was a great fellow when we were beating around, because Bob had a bus, and he drove us many nights to concerts in St. John's. The people in the room that joined me on that bus, and we leave the stories out. We won't get into it any deeper than that, but it was a lot of fun to have Bob driving the bus, and we'd always make sure that we requested Bob to drive the bus, because we knew there'd be lots of music on the way out and on the way home, and he'd go the extra mile for us all the time. And certainly a musician in this community. Rick and the Romans are a legendary group, I would think, for generations of people. I remember the first time I heard them many, many moons ago, and I'm sure most people have heard them multiple times, whether it be from all over the province, actually. I know they were regulars at our own festivals, and certainly in our neighbours in Holyrood as well. They'll be missed. He'll be missed as well. So again, to the Parsons family, my sincere condolences, and Elsie as well, who I've known for quite some time. Tonight, I wanted to talk about, I've been getting some phone calls and some contact, and I'm sure there's people listening. I'm sure the media are listening as well, just to give some kind of an update on our pool, if I could. So as we all know, most of our facilities all closed with COVID-19 for obvious reasons. And our pool is somewhat unique in comparison to some of our other facilities, and somewhat unique as it relates to similar facilities in other places, our neighbours. In particular, new pools in St. John's and Mount Pearl. So we're a little different in that we have a smaller facility. And anybody who uses the facility, and I have family members who actually use it twice a day this time of year, unfortunately are not using it at all. And so I hear about it on a regular basis. We have a situation where, because of our change room size, and we've obviously been talking to occupational health and safety about this, the most we can get in either one of the dressing rooms is 6 people at a time. Most people we can put in the pool is 12 people at a time. So that brings with it its whole new dynamic with the numbers. So we can't put people in the pool like we normally could. And as Councillor Butler, I believe, mentioned earlier in the meeting, then you have males and females as well. So you can only allow 6 males and 6 females. What happens if you have 7 females there and only 5 males? How do you deal with that sort of thing? So there's all kinds of different dynamics to deal with based on the numbers alone. And then, of course, what comes with that, so you would easily say, well, let's just keep it open and put in 12 people at a time. Well, then you get into the significant cleanings that have to be done in between each turnover. So like I said, it's a whole new dynamic that the staff is trying to work with, council is trying to work with, and we're dealing with it as best we can. This is a facility too that had more than just swimming. We have squash, and I know the squash players are right now displaced because we have the facility closed. We have fitness groups who use the room upstairs. We have birthday parties. I can't tell you the number of birthday parties that were cancelled when this unfortunate COVID-19. So there's a whole lot of people displaced because we have that building closed. We're trying to work our way through it. Hopefully we'll have something positive to announce in the coming weeks. Usually the pool doesn't normally open till right after Labor Day. Not sure if we're going to meet that deadline, but hopefully it won't be too much longer outside of that. But again, there's a whole host of things to consider. The other thing that you have to consider with all this, so we'll have reduced volume, you have swimmers, we have our swim team, we have our synchro team. Now, just based on the numbers alone, Our young kids who are competing in swimming and synchro are now going to be probably, certainly in the swim team, will be cut in half. So if you were practicing 4 or 5 times a week, you could very easily be cut now 2 to 3 times a week, simply because there's only so many people allowed in the pool in the facility at any one time. So I think the number is 50. So if you have squash players, swimmers, recreation, birthday party, you get where I'm coming from. There's an awful lot of dynamics that you have to make sure it's working. So plus so you have this from an occupational health and safety piece, then you have the cost. So right now, the swimming pool, or our CBS complex, is by far the most expensive facility that we run in the town. We budget about $400,000 annually to make that happen. And I'll give you a comparison. It costs us $100,000 a year to run the Robert French Memorial Arena, and it costs, actually last year in the CBS Arena, we actually made money. So that just goes you to show the amount of money that it costs. Now, having said all that, we realize that providing recreation and facilities comes at a cost to the taxpayers. We know that. But because of this facility is such a significant cost, and we don't want to balloon them costs, early projections is that facility could go from a $400,000 bill annually to a $600,000 or $700,000 bill annually. So that's something obviously we have to be conscious of. But at the same time, we do realize that we want to provide that service to our residents and that form of recreation. Like I said, I understand the importance of it. I always take my hat off to the swim team in particular, because I was personally involved with that group. Had kids go through there. They're a first-class organization doing great mentoring for our young people here in our community. There's great things happening in squash. The synchro team. We have a fitness group that operates out of there. So we have so many good things operating out of that facility that's not lost on council by any stretch of the imagination. We just got to make it work. We've got to make it work for the users, and we've got to make it work for the taxpayers of the town. So give us a bit of time. We'll get there. We haven't forgot about you, and we'll try our very, very best to get it open as soon as we possibly can and be reasonable about making that happen. So hang in there. Hopefully by our next Committee of the Whole meeting, we're going to have the staff are bringing together some information that council has asked for. So then hopefully by that meeting, then moving forward, we'll be able to have a plan coming out of our next Committee of the Whole meeting, which will happen in early September. So bear with us. Like I said, we realize it's an important fabric of our community, but it comes at a significant cost, so it's important for all the taxpayers that we do our due diligence on it before we push the go button, if you will, and for our users as well, of course. And if I could, I'd like to remind people to be safe out there. There's a little bit of summer left here. I've noticed that there's still quite a few of ATVs roaring up and down our streets. I have multiple calls on it. I ask you, please, to respect other people when you're using these vehicles. I just saw an article in the Shoreline a while back from a resident of ours who's been involved with it provincially, with the ATV organization provincially. We have a local ATV group that's doing good work in trying to find a trail for us through the town. And I've talked to them on a couple of occasions. They have a committee made. But still, it doesn't give you the right to blow up and down through Route 60 and Route 2, which is the CBS CBS highway. So please be safe on those bikes. They're not meant to be babysitters to look after our young kids in particular. Please be careful out there as best you can. The other thing that was touched on here tonight, and that was the food fishery. And I have to say that, yes, I know we have, as Councillor Tilley said, we certainly do have congestion on some of our streets, especially those that access the boats and so on. But, I ask people who use it to be respectful. In the Seal Cove area, the ATV users be respectful of the people who use the area as a boat launch, and the boat launch people to be respectful of the people who use it as an ATV unloading area. Because what's happening is you got people intentionally blocking off one of these areas. So I ask you kindly to respect other people. And I was very saddened last week, I think it was last week or the week before, when I heard from residents about the amount of fish guts and skins and so on that were just thrown on the ground basically in a residential area. And, they're quite used to people coming and going with boats all the time. They see it every day. but please be respectful of the neighborhood. There's absolutely no need of leaving that behind and taking weeks for it to clean up. And, even if you cleaned it up, well, then the smell, of course, is there forever. So please be respectful for those that use the facilities that we have and enjoy our oceanfront properties and so on, but please be respectful for your neighbors. And I guess I can throw Topsail Beach into that as well. So that's too much said tonight already. So again, thanks very much for that time. So first off, we'll have the recommendations of the Planning and Development Committee. Chair, Councillor Exilier.
Thank you, Your Worship. Several recommendations coming forward from our Committee of the Whole meeting held earlier this afternoon. Number one, sale of town-owned land, 3640 Kennedy's Road. Recommendation.
Your Worship, I'll have to declare conflict on this one.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Mayor Murphy. We'll get you when we're finished. Councillor Hillier.
Yes, Your Worship. Be it so resolved that in accordance with Section 201.28 of the Municipalities Act 1999, that the town sell approximately 590 square metres of land at 36-40 Kennedy's Road, Upper Gullies, to an adjacent property owner for $3,630 plus HST. So moved.
Seconder? Councillor Uden. Discussion? All those in favour? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carried.
Your Worship, I'm sorry, I have to declare a conflict on this because of my close residency to this matter. I had declared earlier.
Okay, Councillor Bent, can you excuse yourself, please?
Yes, Your Worship. This is a recommendation dealing with a property that we've spent some time trying to, trying to identify how we can fit that particular building on that particular building lot for that developer, and we're pleased to see that it looks like we have a solution if this should go forward this evening.
Seconder? Councillor Davis, discussion? All those in favour?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried.
And Your Worship, the following recommendations come from our weekly meeting on July 31st. Number one, accessory building, 139 Middlebite Road. Be it so resolved that in accordance with Council's discretionary authority at Section 5.3 of the Town's Development Regulations, application number 2020-104 for 214 square metre accessory building at 139 Middlebite Road be approved. So move.
Seconder? Councillor Butler, discussion?
Yes, Your Worship. I'd just like to make a few comments. I'm going to support the recommendation, but however, I was asked by the resident down Middlebay Road if I could bring forth their concerns. It has to do with, I guess, how we deliver our letters for the discretionary use hearings. And of course, this person, because of the position of the proposed building and where her residence is outside the 50-metre buffer zone which we use. But of course, her house is within 10 or 15 feet of the actual private lane that gains access to where the said location is, and she was, of course, a bit disappointed that she never got her initial, I guess, notification via letter. Even though we did take her letter into consideration, she'd still like to see some type of arrangement whereby if there's any commercial equipment that is going to use that private lane, that we do something, whether that be request that the gentleman pave the private road or do something to keep the dust down. So I just said I'd pass that along.
Your Worship, it's our understanding that there would be no additional traffic as a result of this building here. Basically what we've got I believe it's a fisherman working out of that area, stores his equipment there, and this shed is to be a boat shed. So it wouldn't increase traffic any further, but certainly we'll take on advisement the concerns for the existing dust control. That seems to be an issue there now, even before this shed goes in.
Anybody else? Okay, all those in favor?
All right.
Those opposed? Motion carried.
Number 2, proposed dwelling, 3539 Parents Road. Recommendation, be it so resolved that the terms of reference for a land use impact assessment report related to the proposed development of a single dwelling at 3539 Parents Road be adopted as presented. So moved.
Seconder, Councillor Uden, discussion?
Your Worship, this property is in a low area, may be subject to flooding at some point in time, and we've asked that there be a land use impact assessment done before we provide a permit to build there.
All those in favor?
All right.
Those opposed? Motion carried.
Your Worship, finally, the blanket recommendation, be it so resolved that recommendations, decisions made at the Planning and Development Committee meeting on July 31st, 2020 be accepted as presented. So moved.
Seconder, Councillor Butler, discussion? I'd just like to say something under the blanket statement and discussion. I don't have the numbers here in front of me, but just to the residents. In the last, I guess it would be fair to say, couple of months, but in the last month, and Committee Chair Hillier, you probably know more about this than me, the volume of calls and requests that have come into our planning department has been through the roof. I'm not sure if it's record numbers, but it's very, very close. So I asked people things that we could one time turn around in 2 or 3 days. In the last couple of weeks, it's been a bit longer. So I asked people to be patient. I understand, you know, it seems like a simple process. Somebody wants to tack on a deck. I had a gentleman yesterday, as a matter of fact, that I spoke with who just wanted to expand his deck, and you know he's put in it now a few days, and he's still waiting. So I just asked the people, and we've had extra resources put in the planning. We have clerks taken from other departments to deal with that overflow and the demand. So please bear with us. We'll get there. I don't know, Councillor Hillier, if you
I
had
believe the
something.
number you were looking for, Your Worship, if I'm correct, I believe during the 20 working days of July, we had something like 210 applications. So that'll give you an idea of what staff has been working with. No, Your Worship, that's it. Thank you very much.
All those in favour? Those opposed? Motion carried. Okay, next we have recommendations from Engineering and Public Works Committee. Unfortunately, Chair Councillor Bursey couldn't make it this evening, but Councillor Davis is going to take us through that. Councillor Davis.
Yes, Your Worship. Recommendations of Engineering Public Works Committee meeting held August 5th, 2020. The first one is Community Park Phase 1, approval to award. Recommendation. Be it so resolved that approval be given to award Community Park Phase 1 to Dexter Construction Company Limited for the bid price of $562,834.56, including HST. Funds to be taken from the capital project account. So moved.
Seconder. Councillor Uden, discussion? All those in favour? Those opposed? Motion carried. Okay, Deputy Mayor Murphy, you can leave us for a couple of minutes. Councillor Davis. Seconder, Councillor Butler, discussion? All those in favour? Those opposed? Motion carried. Can we get Deputy Mayor Murphy? Okay, there we go. Councillor Davis, can you turn on your microphone?
Number 3, municipal tractor snow blower approval to purchase. Recommendation. Be it so resolved that approval be given to purchase a snow blower attachment from Saunders Equipment in the amount of $16,970 plus HST. Funds to be taken from the capital fleet account. So moved.
Seconder? Councillor Uden, discussion? All those in favour?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried.
Number 4, ratification of purchase order number 2020-0643, Unit 288. Recommendation. Be it so resolved that approval be given to Harvey and Company Limited to ratify purchase order number 2020-0643 in the amount of $10,021.62 plus HST. Funds to be taken from said account. So moved.
Seconder? Councillor Tilley, discussion?
Just for clarity, what is Unit 288? Of the director,
It's garbage truck, right? Yeah.
All those in favour?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried.
Approval to dispose of fleet. Recommendation, be it so resolved that approval be given to dispose of the 2002 Chevrolet Grapple Truck, Unit 224, and the 2004 Johnson Sweeper, Unit 233. So moved.
Seconder? Councillor Hillier, discussion? All those in favour?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried.
Number 6, approval to tender salt and sand. Recommendation, be it so resolved that approval be given to call tender for the purchase of salt and sand for winter and control operations. So moved.
Seconder? Council Deputy Mayor Murphy, discussion? All those in favour?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried.
Number 7, approval to award 2020 street upgrading and paving. Recommendations, be it so resolved that approval be given to award 2020 street upgrading and paving to Farrell's Excavation Limited for the bid price of $2,027,507.50, including HST. Funds to be taken from the capital project account. So moved.
Seconder? Councillor Bent. Discussion? All those in favour?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried.
And just a blanket statement, Your Honor, be it so resolved that recommendations and decisions made at the Engineering and Public Works Committee meeting of August 5th, 2020 be accepted as presented. So moved.
Seconder? Deputy Mayor Murphy, discussion?
Your Worship, I just want to note on the 2020 street upgrading and paving, I believe once now that that's passed, that the list of streets, if I'm correct, will go up on our website, so residents can have a look and see what the streets that'll be getting the work done on this year with this $2 million. There's a number of streets from one end of the town to the other getting some good upgrades this year.
And that's again to follow through on a commitment we as a council made, I guess, from day one to put a significant resources into our side streets and roads, certainly, because most of them were in pretty bad shape. So
Yeah,
we're starting to catch up.
And Your Worship, that is in addition to the mill and fill work that we're actually doing right now in a number of areas of town as well. So this is additional work that'll start, I guess, once the company's been contacted and the work, they get prepared to do it and they start that work.
Yep. Okay. All those in favour? Those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much, Councillor Davis. Recommendations of the Recreation and Leisure Services Committee, Chair, Councillor Kirk-Uden.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a blanket recommendation, but I certainly will update. I guess we had a number of discussions in committee. Just recently, we held a drive-in outdoor movie at the stadium or the arena, CBS Arena. We've had, I think it was close to 90 cars register or sign, everybody social distance, and for all a lot of positive commentary back from the general public and staff and how they approached that event. It's something that I guess we'd look at doing again. Should we, find, I guess, a good opportunity and so forth, and maybe sometime throughout the fall we can pull off an event or two like that, similar, but it seemed to be well enjoyed by all those who participated. Just a general note in the sense that, like, I've had a lot of inquiries on our parks and so forth. I guess even as we progress, we're probably going to be at a limited capacity just from the cleaning elements of our parks and so forth. So, we're grappling like everybody else with reduced revenues and so forth. And I think what we need to do is figure out a ways to at least provide a level of service, an acceptable level of service, but certainly be cognizant of the fact that it's going to cost more to operate. And I think at this point in the last thing any resident wants to see is us raising our taxes. So I think that's important, for people to consider as we move forward. We're trying to be nimble, be lean, but at the same point in time, obviously with the new, social distance and cleaning protocols, that it's incredibly expensive to operate some of our facilities now, and I think that's going to be that way for some time. So, all that being said, be it so resolved that the recommendations, decisions made at the Recreation and Leisure Service meeting of August 5th, 2020 be accepted as presented. So moved.
Seconder, Councillor Butler. Discussion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Councillor Uden. Recommendations of Financial and Admin Services Committee, Deputy Mayor Murphy. Deputy Mayor, I believe you're, as noted earlier, in conflict on one of these, I think number 3. So maybe we can leave that one just to last if you want, and just run through the other numbers.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. First one is the accounts payable check register. Be it so resolved that approval be given to pay accounts payable checks totaling $609,510.10. So moved.
Seconder, Councillor Hillier. Discussion. All those in favour? Those opposed? Motion carried.
Next one is ratification of manual checks previously released. Be it so resolved that approval be given to ratify the payment of manual checks previously released totaling $394,883.65. So moved.
Seconder, Councillor Hillier. Discussion. All those in favour? Those opposed? Motion carried.
The next one would be item number 4, tax and other receivables adjustments. Be it so resolved that approval be given to adjust tax and other receivable accounts as follows, as per the attached list. So moved.
Seconder, Councillor Tilley. Discussion. All those in favour? Those opposed? Motion carried.
The next one is a personnel matter for the facilities manager. Be it so resolved that approval be given to confirm Jason Abbott in the position of facilities manager as per the terms and conditions outlined in the employment contract of July 22nd, 2019. So moved.
Seconder, Councillor Bent. Discussion. All those in favour? Those opposed? Motion carried.
Do you want to do the blanket report first?
Do the blanket, I guess. Same right here. Seconded, Councillor Tilley. Discussion. All those in favour? Those opposed? Motion carried. So I guess, Deputy Mayor Murphy, you want to step out now? We'll do committee. Someone from the committee can bring forward the capital invoices recommendation number 3. Who's doing that? Councillor Tilley.
Thank you, Your Worship. This has to do with recommendation for capital invoices, and this is work that's been carried out or in the process of being carried out and goods and services purchased. Be it so resolved that approval be given to pay capital checks totaling $685,241.50 as listed below. So moved.
Seconder, Councillor Hillier. Discussion? All those in favour? Those opposed? Motion carried. Okay, thank you, Councillor Tilley. If we can get the Deputy Mayor Murphy back on. Okay. Okay, next we have the recommendations, the Economic Development and Tourism Chair Committee, Councillor Christine Butler.
Thank you, Your Worship. Presentation of recommendations of our meeting held on August 4th, 2020. Number 1, Downtown CBS. Recommendation. Be it so resolved that approval be given for the appointment of Mike McDonald of the Hangout to the Downtown Conception Bay South Board of Management, effective immediately until December 31st, 2021.
Seconder? Councillor Tilley. Discussion?
Yes, Your Worship. Just as a background, as per the Conception Bay South Downtown Business Improvement Area regulations, appointments to the Board of Downtown CBS are to be confirmed by Council. The Board of Downtown CBS have requested Mike McDonald of the Hangout, 54 Conception Bay Highway, be appointed by Council to the Downtown Conception Bay South Board of Management for a term ending on December 31st, 2021.
All those in favour? Those opposed? Motion carried. Your mic there? Oh, okay. Thank you. Want to turn it off and turn it on again?
Okay, there you go. We'll get this down yet. Recommendation. Be it so resolved that the recommendations decisions made at the Economic Development and Tourism Committee meeting of August 4th, 2020 be accepted as presented. So moved.
Seconder, Councillor Hillier. Discussion? All those in favour? Those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much, Councillor Butler. Other committee reports? There being none, just before I call for adjournment, I don't know how this worked tonight in TV land, but I guess we'll get a little brief after. I don't know how much jumping around the camera was doing, but we'll try our best, and I'm sure we'll improve over the coming meetings. So again, thanks very much for those that are tuned in for our first ever it's already virtual. It's not virtual, it's our live meeting, I guess, from the chamber. So without further ado, call for adjournment. So moved, Councillor Tilley. Second, Councillor Davis. Thank you, everyone, and good night.